Okay, recently we just learned about this thing called the quadratic formula. And what is that? Well, given the general formula or the general form of a quadratic equation with a, b's, and c's, now remember, the whole idea of solving a quadratic is trying to isolate x, figure out what x equals. So most of the time we do things like we factor or we complete the square for various methods, and we end up actually getting answers, and we end up with things like x equals 7 or x equals -3 or x equals some weird decimal, and that is the answer that actually satisfies this equation. That's the whole point of the solution to a quadratic formula or a quadratic equation. So what some genius way back when did is he said, or she, probably he, you never know, who knows, he knows, she knows, everyone knows. This person said, okay, well, if I've got this, can I actually come up with a general formula that'll work for every single quadratic? And lo and behold, that person did. And that quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. And it all depends on what your a, b, and c value are. So, how do we use this? It's quite simple. The hardest part is knowing the formula and deriving it. But once you have it, I don't know, 3x squared plus 11x minus, I don't know, what's something weird? 7 is equal to 0. Now, solve by quadratic formula. Okay, so I want to solve for x. Solve for x. Well, let's say I don't want to factor. I don't want to go through the time to determine whether or not this thing is factorable. I just want to jump right to it. So I know that x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Here, in this case, in this equation, a is equal to 3, b is equal to 11, and c is equal to -7. So, how easy is this? Plug away. Negative b, so -11 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so 11 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is, mind the sign, -7. All divided by 2a, and a is 3. So this becomes -11 plus or minus the square root of 121 negative times a negative is a positive. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 7, I think, is 84. All divided by 6. So -11 plus or minus the square root of, well, 121 plus 84 is, I don't know, 121 plus 4 is 125. Okay, 125 plus 80 is, I don't know, 205. 205 over 6. 205, is there a perfect square in there somewhere? I'm not sure, and I don't want to figure it out. Anyway, therefore, x is equal to -11 plus the square root of 205 all divided by 6, or x is equal to -11 minus the square root of 205 over 6. Done. That is how you use the quadratic formula. Now, things to remember: the formula itself. You need to make sure that you have identified your a, b's, and c's properly. Okay, so if, let's say, I gave you an equation that was 7 minus 11x squared is equal to 3x, what you need to do is rearrange this so that you have your ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And you have to identify your a, b's, and c's. Okay? Once you've identified your a, b's, and c's with the signs, then you can just go ahead and plug them right into the quadratic equation, and you're off and running. Anyway, that's how you use it. The only things you need to be aware of are, can I simplify the radical? And can I actually simplify this entire fraction altogether? Remember, we want things in simplified form. So, that's all you need to know for now. That's how you use the quadratic formula. Goodbye.